We don't want to have any bias in what we do.
We do not retaliate or bully people.
I can't guarantee you that policy has never been violated.
There's nothing in the algorithm which has anything to do with political ideology, and we do get complaints across the aisle.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle grilling tech giants from Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Google.
The CEO's in the hot seat over antitrust law, political bias, and the relationship between big tech and Capitol Hill. Joining us now to break down what he learned is Florida Congressman Greg Steube. Sir, thank you for being here. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So what did you take away from yesterday? Did you get out of it what you were hoping to?
Well, of course, none of these CEOs are actually going to admit that they're biased on conservative platforms, that they're biased against conservatives, yet the evidence is abundantly clear. I gave several examples of doing searches for conservative sites about a month ago, and they were buried in Google's search page. And then, interestingly enough, a week before the hearing, suddenly it's at the top because they knew that they were going to be coming here and grilled by lawmakers and Republicans on bias of conservative media. You've heard the talk about the doctors giving their presentation about hydroxychloroquine. I went on the YouTube link that I was given. It was down. I was sent another YouTube link, and it was down. And I specifically asked that question, but they're going to refuse to say that they're actually banning conservatives, and that's absolutely what's going on.
Congressman, we're going to get back to the bias in just a moment, but while I have you here, I want to get your thoughts on antitrust. Based upon the questioning that you heard, do you anticipate a real congressional push to break up these companies in any way, shape, or form? Or is that talk about antitrust really just that, all talk?
I think it's all talk from the Democrats. I think there's some Democrats on the committee, obviously, by the aim of their questioning, would like to break up those four companies. But legally, I think, and congressionally, I think that would be very difficult to do. And Congress shouldn't be in the business of telling a company that's become successful, especially American companies, that all of a sudden, because you're too big and you have too much market share, we're going to break you up. So I certainly wouldn't support that. I think there are Democrats on the committee that would, but I don't see that leaving the halls of the House.
Let's talk about the bias now. Go back to that for a second here, because, we've been reporting at length over the years anyway, how Donald Trump Jr. has had different things. Either he's claimed to be shadow banned or has had videos or tweets removed, things like that. He's been suspended. But yet you have different groups in Portland, rioting groups specifically, going largely unchecked, it appears. Let's go ahead and pull up some of these examples here so that people at home can determine this for themselves. We have an example here, and this is, quote, "To all my people a part of the Portland protest, water balloons with oil-based paint sure makes it hard to see through riot shields and gas masks." And that's one example. We have many. What do you think about this?
Yeah, that's exactly what I asked Facebook and what I asked Google's CEOs was, look, you have YouTube videos out there of violence and all these rioters, and you're not banning that for violating your community policy guidelines. Yet two doctors who are physicians in their doctor coats talking about how children can safely return to school and how there are treatment options for COVID-19 that they have used for their patients suddenly violates their policies. America needs to wake up and know that this is absolutely going on. Years ago, it was kind of rumored and conservatives were like, well, this is happening, but we don't have any proof of it. We have absolute proof that this is happening all across America and that conservatives are being sent down and there's bias in these tech companies.
Do you see Congress stepping in at all, or is it just too tough from a First Amendment perspective and a, quite frankly, who controls the House perspective?
It's from who controls the House perspective. And I mean, you can't even get Congress to agree on a COVID package. But the president has said, to his credit, that if Congress is unwilling to act in the near term, he's willing to execute an executive order. And I'm sure that's going to break at the heart of this bias in these tech companies.
Congressman Steube, we appreciate your time this morning, and we know you had a busy week there. You had a busy Tuesday as well. Saw you there at the bar hearing. Thanks for getting up with us early today. Jillian.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.